I'm Sivasweatha Umamaheswaran, and we are 15 kilometers away from Trichy in Mathur village, and this area is 600 acres of land which is covered by Prosopis juliflora. These plants have grown up to 12 meters high, and they absorb all the water in the atmosphere and in this pond that was in this whole area. So no other vegetation can grow here in this region. The plant's roots penetrate 53 meters deep into the soil, and it absorbs all the water in the ground. Let's listen to some locals who live in this area about how this plant affects their daily life and about its pros and cons.
What problems are you facing because of Prosopis juliflora? The roots of this plant reduces the fertility of the soil. It absorbs all the groundwater, eventually affecting the agriculture land. Livestock eat the fruits of this plant, and when we use the livestock's dung as fertilizer for the soil, this plant gets into the paddy fields and grows in the farming land. If we leave the paddy fields without farming for a year or so, these seeds start to germinate and spread all over the farming land. We need to hire proclane excavators for 3,000 to 4,000 rupees for removing this plant from the paddy fields. So we are facing lots of problems from this plant. The only advantage we have is that there's no scarcity for firewood in the village. The poor people who work for daily labor rely on firewood for their cooking. They can't afford to buy LPG cylinders, so they're saving their earnings using the firewood. What are the steps taken by the government to eradicate this plant? Government has taken many steps. There was a government order to uproot this plant, so they uprooted this plant from part of this area. And then suddenly there was a stay order from the court to stop uprooting this plant, saying this may lead to firewood scarcity. Because of the uproot, we have now managed to save water in our ponds this year, and our yield is good. How can you tell the soil quality changed after uprooting? We can see the change in soil quality. They have uprooted 65% of this plant and 35% still remains. If we completely eradicated this plant, our soil quality will further improve. Wouldn't there be any problems to the paddy fields if we use chemicals to eradicate this plant? We already use chemical fertilizers. If we use cow dung, it will restore the quality and fertility of the soil. In the olden days, Panchakavya was used. If we use these natural things, quality will be restored and groundwater will remain intact. Can we replace this plant with other useful trees in this area? Yes, we can grow banyan, neem, and country babul trees. This entire area would look good. Many years ago, there used to be a lotus pond here. What do people think about this plant? People don't want this plant. Most of them think it has to be eradicated completely.
The thorns of these plants measure up to 5 centimeters, and this one is just 3 centimeters long.
Is country Prosopis good for the soil? Country Prosopis is good. It won't suck the groundwater. In fact, it will store the groundwater. Even the fruit of the country Prosopis is good and is not invasive like Prosopis juliflora. Is a country Prosopis tree, which is an alternative to Prosopis juliflora. It has mild thorns, it's good for soil, and wouldn't spread in paddy fields, even if the livestock eat its fruit. It stores water and helps in farming.
கருவேல மரத்தினால மண் வளர்ச்சி ரொம்ப குறையுது, சுகாதார வளர்ச்சி ரொம்ப குறையுது. மண்ணில் உள்ள தண்ணியெல்லாம் அது இழுத்துட்டு தண்ணியெல்லாம் கொடுக்க மாட்டேங்குது. பாஞ்சில் குட்டம் குளம் அதில் உள்ளெல்லாம் தண்ணியெல்லாம் இழுத்துக்குது நிறையா. ஆக்சிஜனை உள்ள எடுத்துட்டு கார்பன் டை ஆக்சைடு எப்பவுமே வெளில விடுக்குது.
நீங்கள் வந்து இந்த வழியாக ட்ராவல் பண்ணும்போது உங்களுக்கு வந்து இதால் ஹர்ட் ஆகிருக்கீங்களா?
நிறைய பேர் ஹர்ட் ஆகிருக்கோம். பழகிட்டனால எங்களுக்கு எதுவும் தெரில.
This is the juliflora plant's flower, and it's 6 to 8 centimeters long, and this blooms into this, which is the fruit of that plant, and it is 5 to 10 centimeters long. The cows and goats eat this, and in their dung, what happens if the seeds of this plant comes, then it ruins the fertility of that farmland entirely.
It's a poison plant. People should decide to eradicate this plant completely. It's all in the hands of the people, said Mr.S.R.Baskar, an agriculturist in Pidampatti. Prosopis juliflora was planted back in Kamaraj period to mitigate drought conditions back then. But now in this age, these plants are causing a big mess by ruining the fertility of the soil and atmospheric humidity. We need to work hand in hand with the government to remove all these plants and plant better and more useful trees like neem and other trees which give us fruits. So this area will become more fertile, and this will help the atmosphere and give us more rainfall and quality air to breathe. Let's try to remove this plant and bring back the fertile land of Tamil Nadu.
This is Sivasweatha Umamaheswaran signing off from Pidampatti, Mathur. Thank you so much. Jai Hind.
காவேரி கரையில் அழகாய் மின்னும் நகரம் ராக் ஃபோர்ட் சிட்டி செல்ல பெயர்தான். மேலடை கொண்ட முக்கொம்பு எங்கேதான் முப்போகம் விளைகின்ற ஊரு நம்ம திருச்சி.
கண்ணா இது திருச்சி, டக்கர் திருச்சி.